as we start up here, the rest of you on this ship here, the Cordelia, you set sail on your maiden voyage out of the dock of Port Cyrus. Um, you, as I said before, I think Undyne currently you set off and make sure it's on the right course and no one's crashing as you take off. And then I think you head down as Sage sort of wants to speak to you and look over sort of maps and the area that you are going to. What I do want to cut to though is less than 24 hours ago, Althea, you are on the Harpy ship, and as you're on the ship, they don't like take it's not like the Marines, they don't sort of really take you to like a cell or anything. As they take off, you're still on the sort of board the ship. They start putting these sort of manacles on, but they're not like tight restraint ones. um, they're more like loose chains in between these manacles. So you have some movement in your hands still. But they do connect to your sort of legs. You do have freedom of movement. It just seems more like precautionary. They're not heavy, they're not really that uncomfortable. And you see that it doesn't seem like they're worried about putting you in some high sort of stake cell, anything like that. You're a prisoner on their ship, but as you turn and watch and sail away from this dock in this moment, you see Undyne, Arya, Jackdaw show up. As you see Flippin, they go over to Flippin, who you still see as in the water at this point. You see what looks to be Jackdaw try and swim out towards the boat to no avail. And you know there's no real way for you to escape in this moment. But I think there's an instant thought that, and a show there from these people, that as you were leaving, they weren't ready to let that happen. And I think I'm not going to tell your character how they feel, but I think it feels some level of faith, no matter how minute that may feel or insignificant that may feel in the moment, or how much that may be significant. What is Althea's immediate thoughts here as she is being taken towards Harpies Rest?
I definitely think that she's touched watching the group react to her being taken. She's like, we picked some good people, right? Like they seem like good people, and it's kind of reassuring to know that they tried to get her back. So she's kind of assuming that they're going to continue to try to get her back. So it's kind of like a weight lift. She's not alone in this, right? Even though she's physically alone. It's kind of a weight lifted off her shoulders to be like, all right, I got this. It'll be fine. Um, but I think she is probably a little shaken up, a little freaked out. She just watched Flippin get shot and left him bleeding there, and then of course she's surrounded by all these crazy, crazy people.
Mm-hmm. You see as well that like a couple of them have, especially the one that seemed more in charge. Um, you see that she seems to have her sort of eye on you as she sort of not actually taking the helm of the ship, but she's near the sort of helm, hanging out with a few harpies there. A few of them have their like glances towards you. You are noticed on the ship, but it's not like anyone's really paying you attention as such. Like no one's coming over to speak to you. You sort of just left there on the ship. Again, you already know this, but and just to clarify, obviously these are all harpies, so everyone on this ship as well is female. There are no males on this ship, from what you can see.
Can I just kind of wander the ship, kind of
Mm-hmm.
walk around looking at things, looking at people?
Okay. Um, what I'm going to ask you to do is either roll me an insight or an investigation check. And this is based on whether you're trying to gain information on people on this ship and try and suss out the sort of people that are on this ship, or whether you're trying to investigate for more like things or maybe details that are on this ship, information as such.
Hmm.
Because what I will say is you can try and do both, but it won't be as successful because you are trying to still do this. I'm not going to say stealthily, but you're not trying to draw notice to yourself either. You're not trying to actively root around things and.
All right. Um, I think I would probably be paying more attention to the people. Like once you're on the ship and once you're manacled, there's not really a lot you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll watch the people and kind of like see what I can suss out about them.
Okay. Give me an insight check then.
I got a nat 20.
Okay, awesome. Nat 20. Incredible. Tell me a bit more about if there's anything in particular that you're trying to attain. Obviously, on a nat 20, there is a lot that I can give you about these people. But on a nat 20, tell me if there's something more guided that you're trying to, or if there's something in particular that you're trying to suss out about these people.
I think one thing that I would like to know is kind of, I guess, I don't like the hierarchy, I guess, of the
Mm-hmm.
crew on board.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of want to pick out who. Obviously, that one bitch that decided she had problems with us is kind of up
Mm-hmm.
there. But I
Mm-hmm.
just want to see about if there's anybody else that's kind of up there that I need to be keeping an eye on. And
Okay.
maybe if anybody seems like uncomfortable, I guess is the word.
Uncomfortable. Okay, awesome. I will say that it takes around 20 minutes, half hour or so, things to settle on the ship. They realize that you're not trying to escape or anything. You're just smarter than this. Like, you know, when you've been got to, that you're in manacles, as you say, there's not a lot that you can do. Um, and the more that you play that vibe, the less that these harpies are generally taking notice and they go back to their normal ways, which is advantageous because a lot of this seems to be on it for 20 insight. Straight away, one of the things that you notice is this doesn't seem like a mission that this whole crew has been sent out to do for the Harpy Queen. This whole moonshine thing and getting you, that isn't this whole crew's purpose. You very much get the impression that a lot of this crew have been to Port Cyrus for drinking, fun, more extracurricular activities. And you feel like the higher ups of this crew, maybe one, two, or three of them, the people that mainly that you saw in Sol's Tavern that appear to be on this ship, they may have had the more specific orders from the Harpy Queen to check this out while there. You very much do get a sense of hierarchy. Again, like most pirates, the Harpies aren't much different in the sense that a lot of the crew are, by definition, pirates. They are very rowdy. They are very loud. They seem to know what they're doing, and these harpies are very dangerous and not afraid to get their words mixed with each other. Is something that you can tell straight away. But there seems to be some sort of chaotic balance here where it works. There is a hierarchy. You gain the name of the person in charge of the ship that took you in personally onto the ship as Ola. O-L-A. She is one of the Harpy Queen's sort of, I'm going to put in quotation marks, generals, for want of a better word. And you know that she has the other two that seem to be with her. They're in on these sort of talks that you've been seeing, especially around the helm at the moment, where there seems to be just the three of them. You also get wind of the other two's names on a Nat 20. One of them is Valerie, and the other one is Lou, L-O-U. So there's Ola, who seems to be in charge of this particular crew, and then Valerie and Lou, who seem to be more authority than the rest of the Harpies. The last thing that you notice is there doesn't really seem to be anyone that seems to be there forcefully or out of place. That's that last part of the question. No one seems to be there against their own free will or seems to be uncomfortable here. You do see one harpy, however, that seems to be like sort of sat on her own towards the back of the ship. Very back, sort of like feet dangling over the back of the ship, staring out back towards Port Cyrus, who doesn't, it seems to be drinking, but doesn't seem to be anywhere near as drunk as the rest of the harpies here. That's the only sort of person that you really see as out of place. Beyond, and that 20, I'll give you all of that information.
I'd like to walk up to that girl that's by herself in the back there.
Okay.
Just kind of like walk up and like lean against the railing next to her and just be like, "Did you leave somebody behind back there?"
Awesome. Doing so will mean actively walking from your position past the three sort of generals, the Ola, Valerie, and Lou, who are at the helm. They're not right next to where this girl is. So, like, if you go over, if you don't catch their attention and they don't really pay attention, the conversation itself isn't really going to be heard. It's more the act of getting over there, not looking suspicious or wanting to draw attention to it, possibly. If you're not bothered about that, then by all means. If you want to try,
really not bothered. Like
okay.
If they were going to look for her or want to keep an eye on her, they can do that. It's a ship. Like, again, what all am I really gonna do?
Okay, awesome.
Like, I'm not gonna be loud and boisterous and poking fun at them as I do it, but I am just gonna walk over to her.
Okay, awesome. You see that Ola does look around to you briefly as you like chain clank up towards the helm and past. You sort of glance or a nod and sort of bow your head to her a little bit as if to say nod your head. She looks at you for a brief moment before going back to her conversation with Valerie and Lou, and you head over to this this sort of girl that's on the back. Seems to be a relatively young girl in her sort of early 20s. She seems to have this black hair, but as you get close, Althea, you can tell that it's sort of like dyed black hair. She has this weird sort of striped pants, and this sort of crooked old beaten sort of hat that she's got on. It doesn't look like a captain's hat, but it's a very flamboyant hat, as to speak. And as you approach and sort of say, "Did you leave someone behind back there?" She turns to you and she goes, looks at you for a moment and goes, "Well, I definitely saw that you left some people behind back there. Seemed all very dramatic."
Kind of figured that's what you Harpies were all about.
Not all of us. I think it's right to tar us all with the same brush, so to speak. And she looks over to like some of the rest of the groups, the Harpies, that just seem to be very loud, as I've said. But at this point, even you're starting to get irritated with the sort of laughs and the shrills of the shrieks and laughs as they're like just very incessantly drunk. Sort of at this point, not even talking, shouting and sort of laughing and cackling. You see this girl takes a swig of what she has, like a bottle of her own, and sort of looks to you and goes, "So, what's your name?"
Althea. And what's yours?
"Oh, fair, nice to meet you. My name's Sawyer."
Nice to meet you.
"So, what did they get you for?"
Oh, not following blindly into whatever I was told to do.
Yeah, that'll definitely piss her off. Have you ever met the Harpy Queen personally?
We spoke to her that first time,
Mm-hmm.
like that first night
You
in the
did.
castle. Okay,
You
okay,
did indeed.
okay. I've spoken to her once.
Mm. And how did that go? How was your first impressions?
Oh, she's taking advantage of innocent people who can't do anything about it, so not very well.
So, from that meeting, you should have known that realistically, this was always going to be the way it was going to go. You tried to defy her, and she will find a way to get her payment back. You know that.
Yeah, but if she's going to expect someone to follow her orders, then she needs to be the one to tell them, not sending some little errand boy after us.
No, that's true. But I assure you, Althea, that she's not one to shy from a face-to-face confrontation. Let's put it that.
I figured that out when they tried to put me in handcuffs. Well, tried is kind of a they got me in the handcuffs, but
Yeah,
I figured that out pretty quickly.
they did definitely they definitely got you with the handcuffs. sort of looks at you and smiles. She looks over towards Ola, Lou, and Valerie, who aren't paying attention still at this moment. She sort of goes to hand you this bottle of ale that she's got. She's like, "Do you drink?"
Occasionally. And I'll take the bottle and take a sip.
Um, it doesn't taste great, Althea. But it definitely tastes strong. Well, yep, it's an acquired taste, that's for sure. Um, but it's been drinking that moonshine poison though. So
I'm not a fan of moonshine myself either.
what's the plan out there? You gonna become a harpy now, or do you have some grand
Definitely
plan to
not.
escape?
I'm working on it. But don't tell anyone I said that. I'm pretty sure that would get me in trouble.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would. Like, I'm not gonna go running them. I'm not here for loyalty, so it is what it is. Yeah.
You know, if and this might come back to bite me in the butt, but if you'd like, I could attempt to include you in my grand escape.
See, this is the weird thing. Strangely, that's the last thing I want to do. Althea.
Is it so what's keeping you here?
Commitments.
What kind of commitments?
You know, you should really buy a girl a drink before you start asking too deeper questions. We've only just met after all.
You got me there. How about once this whole thing is done and over with and I've got these shackles off, I'll get you that drink.
Sure. Sure. And I think, Althea, as you begin to sort of get to know Sawyer a little bit here, you talk to her through the rest of the ride, getting to know a bit more about sort of her. She doesn't really reveal too much information. She does skirt around reasons as to why she seems to be here. She doesn't seem to be thrilled about the Harpies. You very much get that vibe. But you also get the vibe through conversation that she is there by her own decision, by some choice. You get one last bit of information from her, which is about her dyed hair. Weirdly enough, she mentions it at one point, which is that she shows you her. She takes off the hat and she shows you that she clearly hasn't dyed her hair in a while. There seems to be natural roots showing. She's actually got this very natural red hair that at the roots that she seems to dye black. You head off to Harpies Rest. We're gonna do a bit of a time skip back to the rest of you in the ship here. As you all set off for the first time, Old Salty, Mama Mercedes, and Sage all in the crew, here to help as you all set off towards Harpy's Rest. what is everyone doing at the moment? Where are people? Firstly, I should ask who is currently steering the ship.
Hopefully it is not Flippin.
It is not Flippin, I promise.
I think that would be up to the captain.
Captain's got the dilemma of the person that they were looking to previously has been captured.
All right, Jackdaw's gonna give it a shot then.
What's our little navigator's name?
Sage.
Sage. Couldn't she be pointing us in the right direction?
She's pointing you in the right direction. She definitely has all the like maps out and wants to show like the sort of approach into sort of Harpies Rest and things like that. She won't be like steering as such.
Okay.
She is a navigator. She can sail. But the whole point of, I think, Undyne not being at the helm at the moment is so her and Sage can speak with anyone else that isn't actively sailing the ship.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, to be fair, what I can say is you definitely don't want Old Salty based off some of the stats that I've got for him steering the ship.
No.
But Mama Mercedes sort of offers to take the helm while the rest of you sort of take a moment to go and speak to Sage.
I think Flippin would be trying to purify some water in the barrel that he's got.
Okay. I will say that just because you guys have stocked up, you remember you guys did stock up the boat and supplied it up to some extent. One of the things that Tyson has done is you do have a fair few barrels of fresh water for now to start you off. But obviously you're going to have to watch your supply and make sure you're topping that up as time goes on.
Of course.
But you do have access to fresh water on the ship right now. You do see that you've also got, you know, all the repair supplies that you asked for. You didn't get any sort of food supplies because you were adamant that Althea could fish for you.
No. not just Althea, okay?
Okay,
Oh, yeah. It's also Arya.
Arya can fish as well. But yeah. So that's the situation that we have right now. But you can definitely, as they're sort of talking, I think Flippin's, definitely got a more important matter on his mind. And I think you can start looking to set up your first brew, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
If that is the case, you have a little think about what sort of things you want to do based off of what I've told you. I will come to you in just a moment here. Arya, Jackdaw, Undyne, you are all downstairs with Sage for a moment as she pulls out some maps of Harpies Rest. She sort of looks to you all and goes, so as I sort of explained before, Harpies Rest is barely really an island. It's more of a series of rock formations that they've sort of inhabited and created these structures within. One of the things that makes it so attractive for them is it's very difficult to navigate ships within a decent distance if you don't know the waters. And the Harpy Queen knows this and she's very smart. There is one main clear route where you get a straight sort of shot in without hitting any low tides, low waters, or any sort of rocks in the area. However, the Harpy Queen has built her personal quarters overlooking that side of the island. So they know that that one entrance is there. It's the one that they use. Anything else is risky and dangerous at best. So there's one real way in and out if we want to do this safely, and they always have their eye on.
So there's no way we can do this stealthily.
Well, it's gonna. Harpies Rest isn't too far from here. It shouldn't take us that many hours to actually look to get there. We should be getting there just before sunset, maybe just around that time. Now, if you wanted to sort of hold back and try and go into darkness, we can. It could be a lot stealthier, but in doing so, it could be also more difficult to navigate the waters.
I'm just trying to. Sorry. I'm just trying to think of a way to where we can get our friend out that's not going to put our friend in danger. And put us in danger as well.
Here's the thing. I've been to Harpies Rest briefly before. A lot of the Harpy Queen's more high-ranking officers, members of the crew, and her dealings are dealt with on the very top levels of Harpies Rest. There's a good chance that is where they've taken Althea. However, to dock up and try and get in and out that way is almost a death wish at this point.
What if... Okay. Most of our dealings are done upstairs. I know some of us have really good swim speeds. I know one of us can go invisible and the other can transform into animals. So what if we, snuck up there and got Althea out while you guys kept them distracted? Split the crew in half, leave you with
I think it.
Flippin and Undying, and me and Jackdaw, and if somebody else here knows illusionary magic or something along those lines, can go and get Althea out of there.
I mean, I think you might be onto something there. I think it definitely makes sense to have the getaway vehicle running, so to speak. Have the boat ready to go when we need it. But I think there is going to be some extent of needing to get Althea free enough to be able to get to the ship. And I think if between wild shapes and invisibility, if you feel that you can do that, then sure. But if we split up, you have to be more than careful because of the sheer numbers that we're dealing with here. If you get caught before you get her out and get back to the ship, it could turn into a worse situation just as quick. Captain, what do you think?
Undyne's sort of got her snout in her hands, just like thinking. And she sort of numbers is an issue, but what do we know of the layout of the place itself? Is there any sort of back entrance or any sort of spot where a back entrance could be made?
In what sense made? Do you want to try and get through some of the rocks that come out? So a lot of what this there is a very small chance that we can take it from the side that the Harpies have the least view of on approach, in the hope that we don't get spotted. But the risk of us taking a bad maneuver in a ship this size would be relatively high. It's kind of a risk-reward scenario. It's possible I've got through the slower tides before, but in a much smaller rowing boat, not in a ship of this size.
Not in something that's noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But I think it could be possible if we had the right conditions, the right person at the helm. As I say, I'm just here to give advice. I'm not here to tell you how to save your friends.
Either way, there's some risk involved. Which one
So
weighs
we're
out?
going.
Which one weighs out the other?
We're certainly going to want at least a distraction, no matter what we do.
You know, I've had this idea. This bag of holding can hold up to 500 pounds. How many powder barrels do we have?
Powder barrels?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do barrelmancy?
You only have a couple because you only have enough to effectively fire off the ammo that you brought, which is those cannonballs that you brought.
So, how many ships do we know? Does anybody know how big the Harpy fleet is?
So none of you actually know how big it is. I guess as you say that, Sage says, see, here's the thing. The Harpies rarely actually spend time out at sea as a fleet. But there are quite a lot in numbers nowadays in the Harpies.
And something else I just thought of. Since there are people that can go underwater, maybe we could also sabotage some of the ships before we get them out.
Thank you, Arya. You read my mind.
We do have several people who can not just swim, but breathe the seas.
Well, that's certainly helpful.
And we have one who can speak with what lives in them.
Well, that's definitely always helpful. I mean, if you have any ideas how that might come into play, that might be useful somehow.
It would certainly help in a stealthier approach. Some of us go one way while the rest of us create a distraction.
Well, my thought was that if we mess with the propellers, the boats can't move. And if we do it the right way, it'll also fuck the other ships too.
These boats use sails.
Oh.
I think she meant rudder.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could mess with the rudder, but then the ship just wouldn't be able to turn, which would still be helpful, but you could also, with the proper amount of strength, probably just try and punch a hole through the hull. Which would
Or
be
cast-
pretty bad.
Or cast shatter, perhaps, right there at the bottom.
Well, the bottom is one of the stronger spots of a ship's hull. That's why I said it's one of the more stable parts, because it experiences a bunch of stuff.
Makes sense.
Sorry. As you guys debate over your plans here with Sage, Flippin, tell me, as you set up your sort of, I think Flippin makes it, as all this intense conversation goes on down on how to save Althea, Flippin's intense train of thought is where to set up his brew stand within the ship. It's not only just like you've got like a new house or like a new tree house to play as a kid. You have this whole ship that you're trying to work out in terms of space. I think you're trying to work out where's the best position to put it. After a bit of while of contemplating, I think you find the perfect place. Where do you decide to set this up?
Well, first off, I've definitely put on an apron and I've tied a handkerchief around like the top of my head. I feel like I wouldn't put it really close to the stairs, but under deck there's an under deck?
Yeah.
Maybe midway down on the right hand side of the ship. Sounds luckier.
Yeah, definitely. You set up your
Port or starboard?
Good question.
What happened?
He said right side, right? So what's
I
that?
thought
Yes.
it
Hang
was
on.
starboard.
We're checking. It's been a while since we've had to use.
Because I thought port was left because left and port are both
Yeah.
4 letters.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good remembering.
Yep.
So
Port is
you
left.
say on the starboard side.
And what is
Yes.
it he's setting up?
My
He's-
brew station.
That's what it
He's
is. Okay.
setting up a secondary source of income.
That's the best way to put it.
So I think I'm setting up the brew stand. I guess I don't have a bench or anything, but I'm already contemplating how I can fix that. I have like the ingredients barrel and I'm sorting through it. I pull some water into the barrel and I start mixing in can I tell you the ingredients I'm thinking of?
Yeah. Then hang on, let me just grab my pen. Where is that gone? Awesome. So Flippin, what is your base ingredient? I think you've only got one right now, but tell me anyway.
I think I want to brew something fast, so I'm setting it up with turbo hops.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting out by stirring in some brineweed.
Brine weed. Okay. As your initial ingredient.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm already thinking of mixing two things.
Okay.
It's just on an urge.
Okay.
Flippin mix in some brineweed, but he also feels like the bubble lilies will fit in perfectly with that as well. So he starts to let the bubble lilies like sit on top as it stirs.
Nice. You just let one sit. I will say as well, you notice how fragile these flowers are. A couple of them, like I have explained in the description to you, a couple of them, the bubbles have popped. And you see that like the nectar has now been sort of drained and wasted, and a couple of the lilies have now been rendered useless. But there's still a few more in there that have remained intact. You definitely secure the remaining ones into a much more secure location, as they are quite delicate. You take one of the bubble lilies and sort of sit it on the sort of top of this cask, and as you sort of turn it, is that just to make sure as well? Those the two that you're mixing? Are you mixing?
Yes,
You're
just
not
those
mixing
two.
anything else? Cool. Okay. So the first thing I need you to do is roll me a brewer's check, as I explained.
Is there an actual like for that I could do? Because I know my
Yeah, I
wisdom is
think-
plus
So
2.
did I say it was plus your wisdom? I might have typed
Yes.
that wrong. Okay, I definitely typed that wrong. I apologize. It's not supposed to be wisdom at all. And I've got a feeling I know why I typed that, because I'm pretty sure wisdom messaged me while I was writing that message. It's actually your intelligence modifier plus your proficiency bonus.
Oh,
So there's not an actual button to click on D&D Beyond. What you can do is roll a straight intelligence check and add your proficiency bonus.
okay. So it's really just a roll twice. Because I ain't got no proficiency in intelligence.
Yeah, so it's literally, at the moment, it is just a case of, roll and then add your proficiency bonus. And we'll see how well this does.
Wait, do I have a proficient? Hold on. Where do I have to look up my
No,
brew
so
stand?
your proficiency bonus should be like next to your modifiers, next to your stat scores,
Well,
on your character sheet. On that top row where it's got like your HP and stuff, there should be a square that says
Oh.
proficiency bonus plus,
Oh,
and it should be 2, I think, is what we get at level 4.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
doesn't
think
change
I've
it
ever
to
used
level
that.
5.
That's
So
funny.
I'm looking at your sheet now. Your intelligence is 0, like not 0, but plus 0. Plus minus 0. So it's just going to be a straight plus 2 that you've got to this roll.
But even then, I still suggest rolling as like clicking the intelligence button, even though it's a plus 0, because then it'll let you know, like it'll label it in the roll chat what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So 15.
15? Okay. Not bad for your nice try. First try.
His proficiency isn't added in what popped up in the chat.
This is also to depend on how well this brew is concocted, in the sense of how long it's going to take. Flipping, as soon as you sort of turn it to its side and angle it so it can sort of ferment properly,
Right.
you go ahead.
Did you tell him to roll with advantage or no?
No.
Okay.
I think I said advantage instead of proficiency.
That's why I was like, because he said roll twice, so I wanted. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, there's no advantage yet. Flipping is in the starting days of his brew making.
That's why I was like, he tripped me up real quick. I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. 15 is still good. Flipping, as you sort of turn it to the side, straight away, you can almost feel like some sense of hum in the barrel, like through the vibration. Something's going on within the barrel. Some sort of either quick fermentation or some sort of reaction is going on in there. You settle it down and make sure it's okay. this you on a 15. I don't know how I'm really gonna say that Flippin would know, but I guess that you would have an intuitive sense. This particular brew will take 4 hours. Brew. So I will have in-game time, obviously. So
I
if
just
I'm
know
doing-
personally, I gotta
yeah,
check on this quick, I suppose.
yeah, you can. I'll say that you know that things are happening quick. Flippin doesn't know exactly how long it's going to take, but I'll say that he's prepared to check back every now and again. Do regular checkups. I'll say that it's more of an above table. I'm letting you know it's going to take about 4 hours of in-game time for that to brew.
Cool.
So that's a bit more of a above table thing.
I think after he sets it up, he admires it for a minute and shakes his head up and down. All right, time to go see how we're saving Althea. And I head back upstairs to see everybody.
Awesome. As you head back upstairs to see everybody, I will cut back over to Althea here quickly. You arrive very late into the night, early hours of the sort of morning. Here into Harpies Rest. You haven't really slept on the ship, I'd say. I think you've spent a lot of this time trying to. Well, you have been speaking to Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You arrive at Harpies Rest. You do see that as you approach, there are rocks that pierce and protrude from the water around these rock formation areas. Almost look like teeth that look to protrude out of the water. The ship slows down dramatically on its approach and precisely makes its way through the correct path. You see along the... Go ahead.
Can I sort of keep an eye on whoever is steering the ship to kind of see how they're handling this tricky situation?
Yeah. Roll me a perception check.
Perception. Ooh, that's at 22.
Oh, nice. You take note of the way that Ala steers in here. She doesn't seem too on edge. It very much does seem something that she's comfortable doing, something that she's done quite a few times, clearly. But you do see there is a cautious approach on even more of the crew's behalf than were paying attention before to make sure this ship isn't wrecked on approach. I will say that on a 22, you managed to take some notes in terms of sailing notes specifically, where you can in your head on what sort of things in terms of the sort of speed in which the sails are set, the angles in which they're tackling the rocks, things like that. You make some mental notes in your head just in case an exit is possible for you at any point. And you approach Harpies Rest. As I say, they are this set of rock formations that are very pillar-like and jagged towards the top, that seem to be connected by these constructed sort of structures. You see that there are houses and taverns and lodgings built into the side of these peaks and the rock formations themselves. the way I sort of see it in my head, a way to maybe explain it is, imagine Peter Pan's sort of Lost Boys hideaway, but on a much more grand and pirate scale on these rock formations. Very similar, where they seem to have attaching sort of bridges and sort of structures that seem to attach different different places here, and buildings that seem to just be oddly and crudely constructed themselves for the most part. You approach. You see that Ola takes you off. She looks at you and she goes, right, follow me. And begins to walk you off, up these sort of wooden stairs that don't feel safe at all. But Ola, who is much bigger than yourself, just no fear, seems to be carefully, not even carefully, just like carelessly, walking up these stairs. That as you sort of step on, like the wood creaks and doesn't feel very easy, as it's very clearly DIY built, as I say, into the rock structures. It takes you to what you initially think is going to be something like the meeting of the Harpy Queen or something like that. She takes you to a small wooden cabin-like room. There's relatively high up on the rock face, but she takes you to this room, and inside the room, there's no one in there. There seems to be like a sort of like simple bed, wash basin, toilet, except like the bare necessities in there. It seems to be a very basic room. I sort of looks at you and she goes, well, Harpy Queen's asleep, so you should probably get some rest too. Get some sleep before she does want to speak to you. And don't bother trying to run or get out the door. I'm going to be locking it once I leave anyway. It's just for a few hours, so try not to be annoying. I know a lot of the girls are going to have hangovers very shortly. Got it?
We'll see.
Sure. Even after being brought all the way here, you still won't admit defeat.
I haven't been defeated yet.
Ola laughs and she looks at you and she goes, Miss Quintella's gonna like you. I can tell.
What can I say? I'm a likable person.
Clearly a very wanted person. I'll give you that. Good night, Althea. And she closes the door. You hear the
Hey,
lock.
hey. How am I supposed to sleep with these fucking shackles on?
As I say, it'll only be for a few hours, and you'll find a way to make yourself comfortable. I can get you some alcohol if you'd like to try and knock yourself out that way.
I'm sorry, I don't need to drink my problems like most of you do.
Well, game that high horse can't get you out of here. As I say, sleep tight, and I don't mean shackles tight, obviously. Take care. You see, she begins to walk off from the room. Althea, is there anything you're doing in this room?
I'd like to try the door, because you did not say that she locked it.
Okay. You can try
You
the
said she
door.
was going to, but you did not say she did.
Oh, she did like. Well, you go to try the door. She did, in fact, lock this door. It is locked.
Man. Are there any windows?
There is a window. It seems to be very dirtied and old, but yeah, there is a small window.
What do I see when I look out?
The sea.
Can
I
I?
don't know.
Okay.
Like
I'm not trying to
the
get out of the room, but can I open the window?
the window is not openable. It seems to be somewhat jammed or something. But the window is glass, so if need be, it can be broken. It's not
Okay.
openable though, like a
Man,
normal
I just
window
wanted
should be.
some breeze, man. I wanted some air. Okay, I just want to take stock of the rest of the room.
Okay. Yeah, just as I say, very basic sort of bed, wooden bed, frame with what looks to be like a sort of feather mattress of some kind on there. A blanket. There is a very basic toilet and wash basin as well. It's not exactly the Ritz. It's clearly not a prison, but it's clearly some kind of thing where the Harpies feel like it's some kind of hospitality, at least to have some kind of room or have your own sort of thing like this. But it doesn't feel much greater than the space that you had on board the marine ship, for example. Yes, you got a toilet. Yes, it's a bit of an upgrade, but
Yeah.
it still feels like prison. And you also, I'm not trying to be facetious when I say to you either that when you look out the window, you see the sea. I'm not trying to be vague on purpose as such. Let me explain a little bit more about this. When you look out there, it's very clear that the back of this room that you're in and the window that you're trying to look through at this point faces the direction which Port Cyrus is in, which means it's one of the sides that has the least view from the Harpy Queen. Her sort of quarters are on the side that you came in more, overlooking that main sort of half of the island.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking out towards where there's not a lot of structures that you can see up or down around here. You can't see many other things. You can hear a lot of noises from the harpies going about. But there's not much that you can see in terms of any of the structures on this side. On this side, you can see that your window is pretty much built into a rock face. To some extent, this building's clearly built into the rock face. The window is looking out of that onto effectively what is just vast sea. You see the rocks and the shallow waters that sort of surround this area. Almost like a protective border around here. But you do see the vast open sort of space of the sea. Harpies Rest is clearly quite isolated to some extent. You can't really see any other main islands or settlements around. But you know that the information you get from that is that the backside of this island is this window is on is less inhabited than the opposite side, the side where the door is, where you've come in, that sort of thing.
Okay. I have a hypothetical question for you.
Okay.
Would you let me attempt to pick the locks on the manacles and take a short rest in the time that I will be in this room. Because I figured maybe not a whole long rest. I feel like that might be because
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can try and take a long rest. It just, if you get interrupted, it will be a short rest.
Okay.
But yeah, you can definitely try to pick the lock on the manacles for sure.
Yeah, I would like to do that. And I would like to aim for a long rest, but at least a short rest.
Okay. Does Althea have thieves' tools?
You know, this might be the wrong character for that. I do
You
not.
can still. I'm not gonna stop you from doing it, like other DMs would. What this is gonna determine is, like, if you have thieves' tools, I would give you proficiency in it. Like, to that extent, like if you've had the tools, that's clearly something that you've used before. If not,
jewelry.
I want you to give me a sleight of hand check.
That was a 14.
At 14, you're not able to quite pick the lock on these manacles. There's several times there's a couple of times you feel like you're getting really close, and then just at the last moment the lever keeps resetting. It doesn't help that these manacles are clearly quite old and rusted at points. They're not exactly fresh manacles. And the lock doesn't seem to be the greatest. I think Althea's got it in her head, and it's true to some degree, but it's that typical thing of, it's not my lock picking skills, it's this lock in particular that's fucked, not my block picking skills. Any other lock, and Althea feels like, or if it didn't have as much sort of wornness to it, then she could have possibly, or stiffness to it, then she could have possibly picked it.
All right. That's all I got. I can't do anything in the room, and I could attempt to pick the door on them, but then where would I go? I'm in fucking manacles. So we'll get some rest.
Awesome. I will say that obviously it is early hours of the morning. It's not going to be not long till the sun starts rising, so you begin to get your head down and actually get some rest. Althea, you can take a long rest.
Thank God. It does.
For the rest of you, back on the ship, as you're all at the table, Flippin heads back up. Once he set his brew up, sort of turns to you all, and as he said before, sort of goes, "Okay, so what's the plan on saving Althea?" Sage sort of looks at you all and sort of goes, "Well, that's kind of what we're trying to decide." There's a very reckless way, or a slightly safer but still reckless way. Is what we've generally got the conclusion of.
So what's the reckless way?
The very reckless way is we try and stay out of Harpy's view, but go through the extremely dangerous path of shallow waters and rocks.
You need to be very agile for that. Maybe
The slightly safer way is we can pretty much retain the boat's safety on approach, but they 100% will know we're coming.
It's really just the jagged rocks on a brooch. I mean, what are you going to do if you can't see it? All right, you can see underwater. What's that like?
I can see fairly decently, but that's still pretty risky because I'd also have to come up and tell you, oh, hey, this part's too shallow.
Actually, you don't.
If it's not timed right, there's still that chance.
Well, lucky for us, I recently learned the cantrip message,
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
so we can go back and forth. All I got to do is be able to see you and point at you.
Wouldn't I have to have that too in order to send the message back, or
Nope,
no?
it's just one free message back and forth
Yeah.
on cast. 25 characters
Words.
or words.
I mean,
In theory, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious counts as one word.
either
But I mean, we have
way,
an
we'd
option.
be coming from a surprise. Because the other plan was for a few of us to sneak while you guys were while the people on the ship were acting as a distraction, so we could get Althea out of there.
So you're saying a Trojan horse? Oh, wait. Is that even canon? You're saying a Trojan horse.
Kind of. More along the lines of a decoy, man. But if you guys want to pursue trying a back area, I have no problems trying to navigate with you. But
Well, what do we
Get
have
out
to
there.
offer the Harpies? If we're trying to play a decoy.
all you guys would have to do is just distract them long enough for me and whoever's coming along with to get her out. And since all of us can swim, we'd meet back up on the boat and be able to fight with you guys again. Especially since someone has a very strong swim speed.
Hey, it's not my fault. It's the cloak. Actually,
Plus, if we did it right, that certain someone can cast a certain spell that would while we're swimming back to the boat.
Yes, Undyne can definitely cast Cure Wounds to help in case any of us get in trouble.
well, I mean, there is an option. And I kind of pull the bag of holding out. It's 10 minutes there. If we can get in there deep enough, maybe we all jump, I just dump you guys out of it or whoever's fastest, and then that's a ridiculous idea.
We have 3 of us who can swim and breathe underwater. Getting there is not the issue.
Wait, you can breathe underwater?
Yeah.
Wait, Jackdaw can't breathe underwater, but he can swim really fast in water.
Jackdaw can't? We thought Jackdaw could breathe underwater. What?
Oh, no, the cloak of the manta ray gives me water breathing and 60-foot swim speed
Oh,
while
you do?
I'm
Okay,
in
my
water.
bad. I thought it just gave you that swim speed.
Oh,
Okay, you were right. My
God.
bad.
We almost just fell our chair. We almost just knocked our chair backwards.
Oof.
Don't go harming yourself, man.
You all also hear in this moment one more voice that none of you have heard in this conversation yet. And Undyne strikes fear into you. And I will explain why that is in just a moment. all of you sort of hear the voice of old Salty go, well, it sounds like a distraction you need. We can go with the old classic, never failed old Salty distraction. We go with the good old fashioned moonshine bomb. And then it fills you with fear because the next voice you hear to go alongside this is your fear is instantly the thought that as you look around and hear Old Salty, there is currently only one person on deck of this ship at the moment, and that is Mercedes. And you all of a sudden hear Mercedes calling out from the top deck, God damn it, Old Salty, get up here, god damn it, I'm on my own, I cannot sail this whole goddamn ship. You just see it, Salty turn around instantly, oh, fuck, yeah. Just think about it, the moonshine bomb. And begins to walk back upstairs. I'm coming. God damn it, Mercedes always wanting work. And he begins to go inside in the ship again. Flippin, as he says that, you look around, you do realize that there was a couple of barrels of water. You realize a couple of the barrels of water were giving off a bit of a slightly stranger smell. You now realize that Old Salty clearly had his own supply of moonshine that he's brought on this boat.
Oh, yeah, a couple of those barrels smelled extra strong. I think Old Salty got his own stash on board.
Undyne, like the frills on near the back of her head are just up, like fully trying to make herself look bigger. Dear God.
What if we have a throwing competition? I'll chuck one, you chuck the other. Who can chuck the furthest?
If they hit any of those barrels, our ship goes up in flames, right? Kind of like the cave did?
That depends on how close we have them packed together, but each one will explode, yes. When touching fire. They will not spark upon just being hit.
I think that's just where we have to have faith in Umberly. I think she'll have to keep us safe there.
Old Salty screams from the top deck. You just hear from the top deck. You set him on fire from moonshine bomb, baby.
So what are we actually doing? Are we splitting up, or am I navigating? Apparently, we need to come to a decision before it's too damn late and we all end up screwed either way.
Flippin, Salty, Mercedes, and Sage will probably be staying on the ship to cause a distraction, staying near the edge, like just out of range, but still close enough to draw their attention. And probably the three of us, Jackdaw and Arya and Undyne, and myself, we could probably, at the very least, we can scout it out more if necessary to learn more info, and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So is your plan to have the ship stay at like a distance outside of the rocks, and a couple of you go make contact to the island, almost like try and be as stealthy as you can?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Figure a big ship on the horizon, even if it is just sitting there, will probably draw a decent amount of attention.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're still going to need to get within some sort of line of sight to the island. for the ship for you guys to be swimming out there realistically. So, as I say, the ship will be visible if you keep it on the side of the island where there is less visibility, less structures, you have less chance of being seen. As Sage has mentioned, and as you guys are beginning to tell, you set off in the afternoon. So it is going to be a case that you possibly have the sort of advantage of sunset going into darkness and night, which possibly may help. Sage sort of looks around to you all and goes, okay, well, as I say, I'm here to help, so if that's the plan, I'll go and let Salty and Mercedes know. We should be there in the next couple of hours, so I think everyone should get ready for whatever they need to be ready for.
Hi, that's good to hear. Flippin, come to me in an hour. I have something I need to show you.
Sounds good to me, Captain.
Undyne's sort of going to take one last glance at the map that we have out and head towards the captain's quarters. Head off. Now that we have at the very least, the beginnings of a plan.
Awesome. You make the foundations of your plan to save Althea here. You are all in agreement. You begin to prepare yourself for what lies ahead.
You know what I just thought of? I'm sorry I cut you off, Ben.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I'm really, really sorry about that.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Since Jackdaw has that message thing, he could send a message to them to let them know that we fucked with the ships. So that way when they get within sight, they know when to get within sight, so that way they have a little bit of an advantage over it.
Message has a surprisingly small range.
Oh.
Yes, it is. It's only, I think, like 30 feet. Let me check the spell.
I'm sorry.
120.
Is it 120?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I gotta
No,
read
don't
my
be
spell.
sorry. Don't be
It was
sorry.
a good idea. It
Yeah,
also,
good idea.
oddly
I
enough,
cut
has
you
verbal
off and it's
components
something that
for some
doesn't
reason.
work.
Hey, that's fine by me.
Don't ever be sorry for putting ideas forward.
Ah, that's why it has verbal components.
We'll cut back over to Arya. Arya, you do get a long rest, but in consequence of that, you do awake rather late into the day after not getting to sleep till very early hours of the morning. You sort of wake to noises that, again, are starting to pierce through your head a little bit, of shrills, laughter, cackling, shouting, all from outside the door. You look out once more over the sea, and it's not long before at the door you hear a knock, a turn of the key, and the door opens. You see Ola standing there, and she steps to one side. And in to the room walks the Harpy Queen herself, Hallie Quintella. She looks at you and smiles, and she goes, Althea. Althea, that is your name, correct? Ola's been telling me all about you here. It's so nice of you to finally join us over here on Harpy Rock.
It's nice of you to have me here.
Of course, you still are a guest to some capacity while here on my establishment, let's say.
Do guests on your establishment get, I don't know, breakfast maybe?
The ones with enough fighting spirit do, and I can tell you definitely got some fight in you. Ola, will you please arrange for young Miss Althea here for some breakfast to be brought up? I thank you very much. Ola nods, sort of shuts the door behind the Harpy Queen and heads off for a second. Hallie looks at you again and goes, "Now, I know you may not think that I'm being sincere when I say this, but I really do apologize that it's had to come to this. You see, there's just been one too many things of late that haven't quite been going the way they usually do. And usually when that's the case, there is some kind of culprit. So, needless to say, I had to find who those people were, especially after the freeing of Skylark and the slaughtering of my lovely Jub's caretakers. There's something that affected me personally. I hope you sincerely know. Then when I saw all of you that night in the tavern, no one stands up to the Harpy Queen the way that you guys had the balls to stand up to the Harpy Queen. And that is something. It's a great trait, but it's something that definitely got my suspicions ringing.
So the moment somebody doesn't drop to their knees to grovel at your feet, and all of a sudden they're the ones messing up all of your plan. Interesting. An interesting train of thought for sure.
So, do you deny any involvement in the destroying of my moonshine business? Is
I
that
don't know what you're
saying?
talking about.
Althea, come on now. Ola told me
I did
that.
not destroy any moonshine.
Then how did you manage to come across one of my barrels that were very specifically in one place? Ola told me all about it.
You mean the barrel that she never actually saw? Because the only reason that I'm in these handcuffs is because she tried to touch my property. And I wouldn't let her. And apparently that's an issue with you, so here I am. But she never actually saw anything.
Althea, let me put the record straight.
Please.
You can question my morals, how I run things. You can question my crew. But never, ever dare to question my intelligence when it comes to these matters.
No. That's not what's happening here. I'm not questioning your intelligence. I'm just questioning how you can trust the word of someone who lied to you. Because if she told you that she saw your barrel in my possession, that's wrong. You have no proof that it's your barrel. She never saw your barrel.
Okay. I want to go through this above table quickly. Because it will depend
never a good sign.
on what this roll will be. The barrel that Allah caught you with had the Harpy Queen's seal burnt into it.
On the bottom that she never actually got to see. She wanted to flip it over to look at the bottom to find the seal, and we would not let.
She wanted to open it to see what was in it, and you wouldn't let her. However, she did see the seal on the barrel. So she did not know what was inside the barrel, but the barrel was definitely noticed as one of the Harpy Queens, which is why you were taken in the first place, to some extent, outside of your also flavor and attitude.
Then I misunderstood, because last time I thought that she was trying to look on the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Because I thought that that's where the...
So it's... Allah knows that barrel... She's not lying to the Harpy Queen when she says that barrel that she had was yours, one of your barrels. Right? So I will give you the opportunity here, because that's why I wanted to clear things up. I will give you the opportunity here to change what you want to say. If you want to stick to your story, you absolutely can, but I will need you to make me a deception check.
Ooh, because see, I don't have any other, way to argue back outside of that, so I don't know what to do. We'll make the deception check. We'll stick with it.
We'll stick with gaslighting. Cool. Make me a deception check.
God, that's a 13.
Hey, it's not terrible.
I thought I rolled a 4, but I rolled an 11, so it was a little better.
Watch roll.
Harpy Queen recoils herself a little bit as you say this. Fine. Have it your way, Althea. You want to stay quiet, then by all means, stay quiet. But you will not play me for a fool. You see, you're here now, and I was hoping to have this friendly conversation here in the hopes that you may relieve some of the questions that I had about yourself and your crew, but it very much seems that even when you're cooperating, what you're saying cannot be trusted. I'm not here to keep you here, to torture you, to hurt you out there. But you are here for a reason. And until that reason has come to fruition, then, unfortunately,
I can argue that it already
happened.
Because me and Ola would have just had our differences, and maybe eventually it would have come down to this. But pretty sure the reason I'm here is because I told her that if you had something you wanted done, then you should have done it yourself instead of sending an errand boy. And that's why I got put into these handcuffs. I'm sure eventually would have got to it, but technically the reason I'm here is because I wanted to speak to you face to face, and, well, that's already happened, so I guess I can go now, right?
That would normally be the case under circumstances, but it seems that I have come across some very, very interesting information as of late, and now the shoe is on the other foot. Now, I was hoping to speak to you, but As I say, it is very apparent that you are not here for conversation. So instead, I will stick to the original plan, which is getting that person I want to speak to here myself. And trust me, this has nothing to do with your little attitude problem, Miss Althea. Because quite frankly, you would be dead at the bottom of the sea right now if it was. What I want to know is, that captain of yours, do you know who she really is, Althea? Let me ask you that. She smiles as you have this blank expression on your face. Then I'm sure you're in for a treat just as much as they are. I'm sure it won't be long till the show starts and your friends turn up here to some capacity to heroically try and save you. But I assure you, you will watch from that window as the people that you call friends will die. Not because I want that to happen, but I know what kind of people your crew are. They're reckless. They want to be heroic. But all it ever comes across as really is just plain stupid.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Miss Althea, it was a pleasure speaking to you. If there's anything else I could do for you, please don't hesitate to ask Ola. But I can't promise that all requests will be catered for. Take care now. She looks at you one last time, sort of shakes her head a little bit in disapproval, as you get the feeling she clearly knows that you were trying to sort of lie to her. Just heads out of the room. Ola brings in some breakfast before finally locking room up. And Althea, you are left in this room. The rest of the day passes by, and it begins to once more turn to sunset. As you sort of sit here questioning and in your own thoughts about what's going on and how this goes about, you do look out over the water one last time out the window and see the expanse of the sea and the rocks below. Only there's one slight difference that you notice. As just on the horizon, you see a ship with a large dragon figurehead as it begins to approach. The ship is not recognizable to you right now, but it does seem to be a relative medium-sized ship with this double mast. And as I say, this large dragon head that you begin to see as it approaches more. It's not approaching at speed. And you do see that it begins to almost anchor up before hitting the rock formations some way out. Althea, as you look to see the ship a bit more, there's no Jolly Roger attached right now that you can recognize. No sort of markings. You grab like a glass from the nearby like table and look out to sort of almost like comedically like a telescope. As you look out, you see painted in large letters across the side of the ship the words "the Cordelia." As you see from the ship a couple of figures jump off and into the water. And as you read the word "the Cordelia," a small smile comes to your face. And that is where we will end tonight's session, guys.